You ever notice that when ordinary people try to move money overseas, the bank freezes the transaction and sends you like 12 emails asking, are you absolutely sure this is you? But when the ultra-rich in China do it, somehow $1 billion just casually teleports to Vancouver like it caught a Pokemon Go lure? Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to transfer $200 to my own savings account, and my banking app is like, oh, suspicious activity detected, Maple-san. Please verify your soul. Welcome back to Deep Dive, the show where we take complicated global money nonsense and explain it like we're gossiping over ramen at 2 a.m. It's your host, the same person who once tried to understand Chinese capital controls and immediately needed a nap. Today, we are talking about how wealthy Chinese citizens move enormous piles of cash out of China. Some call it capital flight, some call it money laundering. I call it rich people treating national laws like optional DLC. So buckle up, my nerdy friend, this is gonna get spicy. Okay, let's dive right into today's beautiful disaster, how wealthy Chinese citizens move these giant mountains of money out of the country, despite Beijing's very enthusiastic, no you may not. And wow, the methods? They're not just creative, they are Olympic-level creative. We're talking a whole buffet of financial tricks. Sketchy channels, confusing trade paperwork, giant casino detours, and crypto side quests that would make the Monopoly man cry. Some of it's technically legal, some of it is very not legal, but the theme is always the same. Rich folks finding incredibly clever ways to get their wealth far, far away from the mainland. So here's the fundamental challenge they are all up against. Officially, a Chinese citizen is only allowed to move $50,000 out of the country per year. That's the rule. But when you're trying to move, hundreds of millions, that $50,000 limit is like trying to empty an Olympic swimming pool with a leaky garden hose. It's just not going to work. So, how do they get around it? Let's start with the basics, right? The entry-level stuff that's been around for decades. These are the most common plays in the game, and we're going to start with a real classic, messing with international trade. It sounds all complicated, but the core idea is shockingly simple. This right here breaks down a classic move called over-invoicing. So imagine you've got a company in China, and you also secretly control a company overseas. Your Chinese company buys a machine from your overseas company. Now, the machine is really only worth about $100,000. But the invoice? Oh, you write that for a cool $1 million. Your Chinese company pays the $1 million, the bank signs off because the paperwork looks totally legit, and poof, that extra $900,000 is now sitting clean in your overseas bank account. It's a classic for a reason. Okay, now for the next method in the starter pack. If trade fraud is just too much paperwork for you, well, you can always go underground. This method is called DepDiv, which kind of translates to a counter-swap. The whole point of this system is to never let the money touch the official banking system. No wires, no transfers, no trail. And the process itself is just wild in its simplicity, as this diagram shows. Let's say you want to send $1 million to New York. So you give the equivalent in Chinese yuan, about 7 million, to an agent in Beijing. That agent doesn't wire a thing. They just pick up the phone, call their partner in New York, and say, hey, pay this person $1 million from your local account. A few hours later, your friend in New York gets a local transfer of $1 million. No money ever crossed a border. It's instant, and it's invisible to the authorities. Before we go deeper, a tiny commercial, very important toe to my ego. If you're enjoying this glorious chaos of financial gymnastics, please subscribe to the podcast. Leave a nice review, 5 stars, maybe 6 if your app glitches, and tell your friends, especially the one who thinks capital controls are a type of diet. Your love and support help me continue explaining global finance like a confused stand-up comedian. Arigato in advance. All right, let's level up. If trade invoices and underground banks feel a bit, common, the top-tier players prefer something with a little more class. We're talking about a method that's high-profile, it's elegant, and it happens right out in the open. I like to call it the art heist. So here's the puzzle for the truly wealthy, right? How do you convert your domestic currency into a globally accepted hard asset, and then into liquid cash without ever triggering a single red flag for a cross-border wire transfer? Well, the answer is surprisingly beautiful. This is actually based on a real-life masterstroke by a collector named Liu Yichen. First, you go to a global auction house, maybe Christie's in Hong Kong, and you buy a world-famous painting for, $170 million. But you don't wire the money. You pay for it with your Chinese-issued American Express card. To the regulators, it just looks like a really, really big shopping trip.
Your yuan has now been transformed into a masterpiece, a globally recognized hard asset that's already sitting overseas. And then the final step, you take that painting to a private bank in London, use it as collateral, and get a multi-million-dollar loan in clean, legal, foreign currency. It's absolutely genius.
Okay, now for the king-level play. If the art method is classic elegance, this next one is pure cyberpunk. This is the high-tech, ghost-in-the-machine method that gives governments all over the world nightmares, because it is so incredibly difficult to track. Welcome to the world of cryptocurrency.
To understand this, you only need to know about two tools. The first one is USDT, also known as Tether. Now, forget all the complicated blockchain stuff. Just think of it as a digital poker chip for US dollars. One USDT is always worth $1. It's stable, which is exactly what you want when you're moving millions.
The second tool is your decentralized wallet. This is an app on your phone, but it's way more than that. It's like an invisible, uncrackable Swiss bank account. Only you know the password. No government, no bank, no police force on earth can open it or freeze the funds inside. We're talking ultimate financial privacy.
So the real genius here is how you combine these tools for the perfect ghost transfer. Step 1. You find a private online dealer and you trade your Chinese yuan for millions of those USDT poker chips. Step 2. You move those chips into your invisible Swiss bank account on your phone. Step 3. You buy a plane ticket and fly anywhere in the world. Customs has no idea your phone is carrying a fortune. And finally, Step 4. Once you land, you go to a local crypto exchange online, sell your USDT, and bam, the cash appears in your new local bank account. It's a completely phantom transfer of wealth.
Okay, so you've used art or crypto or some fake invoices to get the money out. Mission accomplished, right? Wrong. That's just step 1. Now you have to make sure that money is safe, secure, and legally protected for generations. This is the end game.
And this slide right here shows the standard toolkit for hiding that wealth in plain sight. First, you set up shell companies in places like the British Virgin Islands, just like we saw in the Panama Papers. Then, you create these super complex ownership structures where one shell company owns another, which owns another. It's like a set of Russian nesting dolls, making it nearly impossible to find out who the true owner is. And finally, for that long-term protection, you place all the assets into a family trust, which is basically a legal fortress that shields the wealth from taxes, from lawsuits, and from creditors.
So we've seen the techniques, from the simple to the frankly mind-bogglingly sophisticated. But when you take a step back and look at this massive, multi-billion-dollar exodus of capital, you have to ask yourself, what does it all mean? Because it's a lot more than just clever financial engineering.
And that's really the heart of it. This isn't just about avoiding some taxes or getting around regulations. This source argues that when a country's wealthiest and most connected people are using every single tool at their disposal to move not just their money, but their families out of the country, that is the most honest vote of no confidence you will ever see.
All right, that wraps up our tour of how China's wealthy strategically relocate their fortune to foreign pastures. Honestly, if creativity alone could power an economy, these people would already be running the world. Huge thanks to my amazing producer, FireflyHaku, who keeps this show organized better than any underground bank in Shenzhen. Seriously, if Haku ever sets up a shadow financial network, it will run smoother than Swiss chocolate. And to you, wonderful listener, domo arigato for hanging out with me today. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, if someone says, don't worry, this is just a simple cross-border liquidity maneuver, that's your cue to run. Until next time, deep dive, nerd out, and may your capital stay exactly where you want it.